Hi, this is Kathy from Craft with Kathy. Thanks for joining me this evening. I hope everyone's had a nice start to the new year. We have, other than a little snowstorm it was a little snowstorm. It was supposed to be bigger. I'm not complaining. 3 to 4 inches is enough snow for me. But other than that, everything's cool. I'm coming at you from the suburbs west of Chicago. Drop me a line. Let me know where you're viewing from. I want to talk a little bit about tonight's project. It's going to be using January's Club Couture offering, this transfer called Love. And I'm going to do it on this Odette board that I have used numerous times before. And I was removing a previous design from it earlier today. And then I said, oh, wait a second. I shouldn't totally clean this up. Let me show everyone how to do it. Now this he had, I'm trying to see if, what remains here, if I can remember what transfer it is. You know what, I think it was Joy. And it was done in kind of a darkish blue. And I spritzed it with water, used a paper towel, wiped it off. But what I found is there was some ghosting. And where there was still some of an image left on it. So you could see it, I cleaned up most of it, but left a little bit so I could show you how to clean it. And anyway, that will happen sometimes with deeper pigmented paste. And this was kind of a deeper blue, so it makes sense that there was some ghosting here. So let me show you how to get rid of that ghosting. It truly is so simple, you're not going to believe it. I'm going to take a little bit of distilled water, and I always use distilled water. I always put distilled water in my water bottle, because if I need to thin out my paste to either use it to paint with, or if they've gotten too thick and I need to add a little bit of water to use them for chalking, I use distilled water. And the reason I use distilled water is so that none of the minerals from my tap water would interfere with the pigments in my paste. You think of your paste as being like artists' paints. There's pigments in them that give them the color, and if you want them to remain true to those pigments, don't use tap water, use distilled water. So I am just going to, actually, this is a board eraser. They come 2 in a pack. I am going to just spritz this with a little bit of water, get it moist. And I could use tap water for this, of course. It's only when I only need the distilled when I'm working with the paste. So I've got my board eraser dampened. And then I'm just going to go over the ghosting image in a circular motion. And voila, how easy was that? Then I'm going to use the reverse side of my fuzzing cloth. One side's microfiber, one side's terry. I use the terry to fuzz with, but I'm going to use the microfiber side here to basically dry my board. Make sure I don't have any streaks or anything, so you might as well use the tools that you have, right? The fuzzing cloth works really good for this. And I just always want to make sure I never get any water around the edges of my frame. You know, when you clean your boards, just be careful of that, because you don't want to ruin your frame or have water seep underneath the actual chalkboard. And I love using chalkboards. I mean, sometimes I use wood. My new favorite wood is our diagonal reclaimed palette board. But I love the chalkboard because it's easy, no muss, no fuss, removal of designs, and reusable. And I'm all for things that can be used multiple ways. So basically that's it. Just use a little board eraser and a little bit of water. Give it a little scrub. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on it. And then dry it and you're good to go. And I'm checking the back. This is the top of my, there's my sawtooth hanger. So I want to make sure I know where the top of my board is for when I position my transfer. And this is the transfer that I'm going to be using. This is this month's Club Couture. And our Club Couture comes with an 8.5 by 11 transfer and 3 individual paste packets. And I'm looking to see if I have any paste packets out here. I do. This is the size of our little individual paste packet. This is not from this design. This is from something else that I was working on. But I have the jars of paste, so I'm going to use the jars instead of the paste packets. And I'm going to use Shimmer Silver, Peony, or as some people pronounce it, Peony, and Raspberry Sorbet. Isn't this a nice collection of colors for Valentine's Day? Are you more of a red person, a pink person, or whatever for Valentine's? What color do you like your Valentine decor to be? I think I'm more on the pink side, and of course my favorite would be mauve, but I'm going with the colors that the club members get in the kit. As designers, we don't get the individual paste packets, but we get other perks with our Club Couture, like our website and whatever. Anyway, so I'm going to remove this from its little cellophane bag. All of our transfers come in this little cellophane envelope. On the back are instructions for use and for care. And with proper care, your transfer, and notice I'm calling this a transfer, not a stencil, can be used 8 to 12 times or more. And care is real easy. Our chalk paste is all water soluble. So basically what you want to do is remove the paste from the transfer. Our transfers are made out of vinyl, which is the teal, and silk screen, and you're actually seeing through that silk screen to the white backer sheet behind it. And the silk screen is what allows us to get such beautiful images, such beautiful crisp images. And they're also adhesive backed, which means placing them and getting them to stay in place is easy peasy. And it just makes it so much easier than working with a stencil or weeding vinyl and using a machine to do that, whatever. I didn't have to spend any time prepping this. It's ready, good to go. I'm ready to put it on my board and run with it, which means my time from start to finish is much reduced. And I don't have to use everything on this transfer. I could use part of it. And I'm going to be showing you different things, different ways throughout the month of how this can be used, other than what I'm doing with a kind of straightforward traditional look today. If that makes any sense. If you have any questions as we go along, just drop them in the comments. I'm happy to answer anything, whether it's for this project or for something else in general. Now I'm going to fuzz the transfer. Remember I said they're adhesive backed? Well, fuzzy means I want to deliberately apply lint to the back of the transfer so that it doesn't stick as snugly as it would otherwise. And your transfer is always as sticky as it's ever going to be when it's brand new, okay? Notice the adhesive side kind of has a shine. And fuzzing is really easy. You just apply it to your fuzzing cloth, lift it up. If you don't have a fuzzing cloth, you could use a towel, you could use a sweater, you could use a pair of jeans. Whatever is going to give you a little bit of lint to apply to the back to diminish the stickiness. And the reason you do that is so that it doesn't stick so tightly that you have a difficult time removing it. Now, in general, with chalkboards or dry erase boards, I generally fuzz or apply it to my fuzzing towel 3 times, and that's pretty much it. If I was going to use this on wood, I would probably still do the 3 times. But if I was going to use this transfer on glass or mirror or metal, I would fuzz it probably 8 times, because any porous that is any surface that's non-porous, it's going to stick to very snugly. Now, and I don't have to press this down hard. I'm actually just feeling over with my fingers to make sure that I don't have air bubbles anywhere underneath the silk screen. So don't press it down hard. Just a gentle touch is all you really need. And I'm going to just eyeball that to see if it's straight. And of course it's a little bit crooked. So I'm going to just lift it up and adjust it. And I'm just eyeballing this. I suppose this surface that I'm putting it on is a little bit bigger than 8.5 by 11. So I suppose I could have measured it and realized what my margins were, but I think eyeballing it is just fine. And I'm going to use these 3 different color pastes, like I said, what the kit comes with. And before I get started, I want to check the consistency of my paste. It looks like I accidentally got inadvertently have some paste from another project. Sometimes if I'm not careful, I might put the stir stick from another color in my jar, so I'm just lifting that off right now. Kind of surprised by that. I'm usually a little bit more careful. So you want your paste to be the consistency of like a yogurt or a sour cream. You don't want it dripping, but you want it soft and malleable, if that makes sense. If your paste thickens up, now we have changed our formula, and our new formula is called our Creamy Dreamy. If your paste thickens up, though, you could thin it down with a little spritz of distilled water to get it to the right consistency. For example, my raspberry sorbet has thickened up, and my guess is I probably left the cover off working with it. So I'm going to spritz a little bit of distilled water in here. I'm going to make sure I didn't get my surface, and mix this up until I get it to the right consistency. If I inadvertently put too much water in it, then all I have to do is leave the cover off for a little bit until it thickens up. So it's you know, you're kind of guessing at it at first, but you'll get used to checking the consistency. It really is not that big of a deal. Well, the new formula paste I haven't had to add water to, but maybe 1 or 2 jars, and it's been because I've left the covers off. Sometimes I forget and I get carried away and wrap up a project and go to clean up my transfers at the sink or whatever, and then something else distracts me and I forget that I got something sitting on the table with the cover off. So don't do as I do. Do as I say, not as I do, right? Okay, this needs to be stirred up just a little bit more, but I think it's just about there. I kind of didn't expect it with my raspberry. Maybe a little bit more water. My silver I was kind of expecting this with, but I've got multiple jars of silver, and I don't know if I grabbed one that I had left the cover off. When I was doing the snowflakes for Christmas, I did a lot with the silver, and was kind of worried that that might very well be a little thick because I did a lot of snowflakes, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Let me grab another stir stick and check the consistency here. This actually looks fine, so maybe a little thick, just half a little spritz here. And let's stir that up. I should have checked these beforehand, but if I checked them beforehand, then I wouldn't be able to show you how to do it, so that if you run into this issue, you know what to do. Okay, and we're going to use the paste and peel method so that we could take our time with this transfer and apply the different colors without kind of being in a rush or in a hurry or, you know, rushing to do it. This gives us a little bit of time, as we don't have to worry about the paste drying in the silk screen. I am going to do the hearts and peony, but the word love in the raspberry sorbet, and then I'm going to do the script and maybe the bottom in the shimmer silver. So let me get started with the peony. Just going to go over the hearts, make sure they go through the silk screen. I'm probably going to turn my surface a little bit so that I have a little bit better access at everything here. I've gone through the silk screen. I want to make sure there's no lines. Make sure I get the top of my image, which I almost missed there. Make sure there aren't any lines or globs of paste. Clean it up and put the excess back in the jar. Let me just smooth over that again. Okay. Looking for the stir stick, and it's right here in my jar. And a little paste goes a long way. Seriously, you don't have to put a lot on it. I am going to change my surface. I need it a little bit closer to me so that I could see what I'm actually doing here. And you can see that this goes pretty quickly. Okay, remove the excess, put it back in the jar. And I like to leave my squeegees in the lids to the jar so that I don't end up with paste all over my surface, and so that I know where they are. Now I'm going to do the paste and peel. I was going to actually do the silver, but I'll come back and do it because I've gotten a little bit of a slow start here. I'm going to lift this up. Just pull it straight up. You know, check it out, make sure it looks good. I could dry this one with one of our dryers if I wanted to, but it really is not necessary. I'm just going to let the transfer fall back down, make sure my script is down here, but this way I don't have the paste drying in the silk screen. And I can take my time as I work on this. Now, for the script, I'm going to actually use our multi-tool. I could use a small squeegee and do it, but I feel like I have a little bit more control with the multi-tool. So I'm going to take some of the paste, use the end of it, and actually I probably should tell you or show you why it's called a multi-tool. I will as soon as I get the paste on here. It's a little bit smaller of a end on the squeegee, so it's good for getting into tight spots. And notice my angle is almost a 90-degree angle most of the time. I'll change it when I'm actually offloading the paste or trying to get it off of the squeegee. Like I might lean it down a little bit more. But when I smooth it through the silk screen and I remove the excess and look for lines and whatever, I'm almost at a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to catch that excess there, get rid of this line. Put the excess back in my jar. And then, because I'm using the paste and peel, I'm going to peel it back up. Nice crisp image, right? Just lay it back down. Okay, I'm thinking how do I want to do this? Okay, I'm going to do the next part, the word each other, or the words each other in my raspberry sorbet, and I'm going to do this banner around it in the peony. So let me do the raspberry sorbet first, and I'll probably use the multi-tool to do the peony. Oh, multi-tool. One end is a squeegee, the other end has this hook on it. It's great for getting into our jars and going under the ridge or the edge of the jar to scrape any paste in there so that you could actually stir it up very easily. So, multi-tool. multi-purpose. And you don't have to use a stir stick. Sometimes I just put the squeegee right in the jar. But if you're using the paste packets, the squeegee is a nice way, easy way of getting the paste out of your packet without squeezing all the paste out of the packet to use it. The Club Couture comes with 3 individual paste packets, which is way more than enough to make this project multiple times. And I do have a video or 2 out there of how to use those paste packets to get the most out of them. You don't want to squeeze out all the paste. Just squeeze a little bit out into a color tray or into an old dish or something, and go from there and squeeze it out as you need it. That way, when you're all done, all you have to do is push the paste down to the bottom of the packet, roll down the top, seal it with either washi tape or a paper clip or something of that nature, and you know, keep it not exposed to air, and you're good to go to use it again. Let me clean off my multi-tool because I'm going to use that to do the banner. And I'm debating, I don't know if I want to put those dots in the peony or not. I think I will. I'm not a real big fan on peony. I think in using it in large areas, it looks too Pepto-Bismol-y to me. But for this, I think it's fine because it's little areas, you know, like the banner and whatever, and it's not that large of an area that I find it disturbing. If that makes any sense. Everybody has different colors that they like or don't like, right? I've never been a pink person, so I find it very strange that my favorite color is the Marvelous, and has been for a while. That's a bit unusual for me. But it is a pretty pinkish, so I'm probably going to be doing a lot of my Valentine stuff in the Marvelous. Okay. I'm going to turn this around so I've got better access in a moment. I know I say if you could butter toast, you can chalk. Seriously, I'm not kidding. I don't have a steady hand. I love crafting. I've crafted since I was a child. But anything that was too tedious, I'd sometimes struggle with. And with this, even if I make a mistake, just wipe off the area that I made the oops and redo it. It's that simple. Try cleaning that up, getting off the excess and removing the lines. I have a little area here I missed. Let me get it. And then I'll do the top of the banner here. But you can see how the multi-tool makes this much, much easier to get into tight areas. But you could do it with, I watched someone today do it with a mini squeegee. But me being on camera especially, give me that multi-tool. I'll be less apt to make an oops. What did Bob Ross always say? There are no mistakes, just happy accidents. Okay, so now I'm going to do paste and peel. I'm going to peel this up again. Now, I noticed that I missed a little bit here on the top line. I'm going to lay it back down and go back over. I was pretty sure that I had missed, so I'm going to go back over with my squeegee, taking a little bit more of the paste off of there to make sure I get the top of this. And I'm probably going to do the same thing on the bottom here. So as long as you don't lift it all the way up, your transfer is being held in place by the adhesive. You could just gently lay it back down. Oops, I still have two places. I have the light above me off so that I don't get a lot of reflection. So I'm a little bit in the dark here. That's my excuse. And I'm sticking to it. Okay, and oops, I forgot the other heart. So let me lay this back down and do this little heart. Then I'll lift it up. Okay, so now I'm on to the next section where I'm going to use the silver shimmer. So I'm just gently pushing that back down. Decisions. Well, okay, I'll just continue in the same order that I was going. Let me clean off this multi-tool, or you know what, I could use a mini for my silver shimmer here. Seriously, questions? Drop them in the comment box. Let me know what you think. Don't like the color? Let me know. I love hearing from my viewers. Don't be shy. We're all friends here. Seriously. And I'm going to try not getting any of the pink on my squeegee. I was afraid that I picked some up. It looks like it's okay. But I'm a little bit more comfortable with the multi-tool all in all when it's this tight. Probably didn't grab enough paste there. Let me grab a teeny bit more just to get the rest of the coverage here. Get the top of my letters. That part's being stubborn. Okay. I think I have everything covered. Paste and peel. Let's check it out. Ooh, it's looking in the... Looks good. Okay. I'm going to do same direction in my raspberry, and then I'm actually going to do the arrow in the shimmer silver. Arrow should be silver, right? So let me grab my squeegee here, grab my raspberry sorbet. Oops. Now this is taking me a little bit longer, but it is a little bit more detailed of a transfer. But generally, I very rarely have any project take more than an hour. A lot of times they're only like a half hour. I'm having a hard time getting the paste off the squeegee there. There we go. A little bit better. Smooth it out. Remove the excess. Grab another dab here. Take off the excess. Put it back in the jar. Let me clean my multi-tool so I could use it with my shimmer silver. We're almost done. Kat says, thank you for explaining the lifting, the paste, and the peel. Yep, it's I don't use it all the time, but for anything that is multiple colors like this, I just find it's easier, and then I don't fret or try and rush through it. because you can't leave your transfer on too long. The paste will start drying, and then if the paste dries, when you go to lift it up, you will pull up some of the paste with it. Now, if that happens, remove that area, you know, when you're done with the wet paper towel. Obviously clean your transfer, lay it back over, and just repaste. It really is that easy. But to avoid having to go through that, the paste and peel method basically takes care of it for you. So let's peel it up again. I want to make sure I don't totally lift it off my surface though, because I'm getting close to the bottom. And you could tell a lot of our wording is deliberately distressed, and not all of our transfers have that, but a fair number of them do. And when they have that distressed kind of a font, if you do make a little mistake or the paste does start drying, sometimes you can't tell if it was the font, you know, if it was accidental or deliberate. So another way of making it easy and hiding your little mistakes when and if they occur. So I'm putting the final color on, the shimmer silver, and our shimmer paste have, they're kind of like glitter without the mess, but not quite as sparkly as glitter. They do give some shimmer and shine, and they take a little bit longer to dry than our pastes that are not the shimmer. So sometimes if I'm doing multiple colors on a transfer, I will apply the shimmers first, and then because they take a little bit longer to dry, I don't do the paste and peel. It really depends. I'm making it sound more complicated than it is. It really is very simple. Okay, I think I've got everything there. I'm going to lift this from the bottom, but I just want to stick it down a little bit in case I have an issue, because I want to look at this before I totally remove the transfer to make sure that I caught everything. Oh, good, especially because my wording here was so such a tiny font. I wanted to make sure that I did good with it. Okay, there we go. Now, as soon as I'm done, I'm not going to clean this while we're live. I'm going to run this over to the sink and massage the paste off it with my fingers. If it's stubborn or like on the front, I'm going to use my board eraser. Never use your board eraser on the adhesive side, but I will clean the front with this. And anything like the deep or the raspberry is going to probably stain this a little bit, but staining in no way diminishes the number of uses that you get out of your transfer. It just doesn't look brand new and pristine, but it's no big deal. So I think this begs for a little bit of an embellishment, and honestly, I have not pulled out my Valentine ribbons yet. I'm going to have to go downstairs tomorrow and get them. I had them packed away from last year, and just kind of see what I have that matches up and what I could add as a little embellishment on it. But how easy was that? We're looking at just, excuse me, a little bit over a half hour. And we've done a 3-color sign. Simple, quick, and easy. I'm going to tilt a little bit to see if you can see the sparkle from the shimmer. It'll start sparkling a little bit more as it dries, but the shimmer takes about 8 minutes or so to dry. And you could speed it up, use a drying tool. Do not use a heat gun like you would use for embossing powder if you're a paper crafter, because that is too hot. We have a heat gun. It looks like a heat gun that you would use for embossing powders, but it actually is not that hot. It just has the more focused nozzle to it, so that it has a more concentrated area for drying. And I would suggest that. But generally, I just let it sit and let it dry on its own. It gives me a good time to go clean up things, close things up, pack them away, you know what I mean? While I just let it sit there and dry. If you find you've got paste in an area that you didn't intend to, like if you had paste on your fingers and you accidentally touched the frame or whatever, you could let it dry and then clean it up with a damp paper towel, or you could clean it up right when it happens and when you notice it. Our paste is water soluble, so cleanup is easy. And I put my squeegees in the wrong lid. Okay, at least I don't have any color mix in here. So I'm putting the silver lid on the silver jar. And that's pretty much it. Thank you very much. I surely appreciate it. Have a nice evening. See you soon.